Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This is RetroDog34, and in today's video we are going to talk about my Templar Tank. That's right, we're going to actually talk about the build that I use on a regular basis. If you ever jump in and watch me on Twitch, which I stream Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sundays, this is my main character that I typically run all my content on, from dailies to trials to speed runs to no deaths and everything in between. This is AKA my Paladin. I came from, as you guys know, I came from other MMOs, and in those MMOs, I've always tried to play as a tank or as a off tank. In most cases, those are Paladins and Paladin builds. What I wanted to do is kind of replicate that in Elder Scrolls Online, and the first character I created was a Templar Tank. This Templar Tank has been my consistent tank that I run for everything in Elder Scrolls Online. He's got probably the most achievements that I have on any of my characters. So in this video, we're going to talk about the races. We're going to talk about the stats. We're going to talk about the advanced stats that I have now that we have that added into Xbox, right? We're also going to talk about the foods that I run, the boons, weapons, armor, jewelry, and skills to include champion points. We're going to get into this and we're going to discuss everything that I use for this type of build. If you have any questions, please go down to the comment section below and hit me up. I respond to everybody and chat, and I will try to get back to and answer any questions that you guys have with this video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this. All right, so first up, we're going to go ahead and talk about races. So I picked the Imperial race, one, because I think it is the best race that you can get in Flames of Ambition update. So first thing we want to talk about is our 3 passive abilities. So first up we have Toughness. Toughness is one of those that does give us a huge increase to our max health by 2,000. This is huge, especially for a Templar or a Paladin build. We definitely need it. Next up, we got the Imperial Mantle 3, increase your max stamina by 2,000. This is huge for us because we do block a lot, so as tanks, so that definitely does help us out. Next up is Red Diamond. Red Diamond reduces the cost of all your abilities by 6%. With the new update, using your abilities costs a lot more, so this is a huge one for tanks. So we can go ahead and be able to use our abilities a little more going into this. So my build is primarily a health build, so I put all my attributes in under health, so I have a 64 health bar. So the other, on top of that, I have my max magicka rather, at 21 or 20,000. Max health is sitting at 47,000. Maximum stamina is sitting at 23,000. My spell damage is 2335. My spell crit, which shouldn't be pretty high for a tank, is 10%, right? Max magicka recovery is 1312. Health recovery is 1179, and my stamina recovery is 664. Weapon damage is 2,591. Weapon critical is 10%. Physical resistance is a whopping 21,714. My spell resistance is 24,354, and my critical resist is 1320. All right, so next up is our advanced stats. As you know, I play on the console, I play on Xbox. Thanks to Flames of Ambition, we get this broken down now. So advanced stats is huge for us. So right now I'm running a bash cost at 1775 with a break free cost of 4765. My bash damage is 1738 with my block move speed at 70%, sprint speed 135%. My big thing though is my block mitigation is 70%, and my fire, frost, disease, and bleed resistance are at 36 and 32. Shock, magicka, and poison are all sitting at 36 and 32%. All right, so next up is what type of food do I run? I personally run Bewitched Sugar Skulls, which increases my max health by 3937, my max stamina and magicka by 3622, and health recovery by 393. You can run purple food, which if you can't get Bewitched Sugar Skulls, definitely look at Longfin. It does help quite a bit. It's a great alternative to running Bewitched Sugar Skulls. All right, like I said, Longfin Pastries is a great alternative to running Sugar Skulls. Next up is what potions do I use? I use the Crown Tri Fortification Potions. It does a great job. It's free. As long as you go in and log in daily, you can get these almost abundantly in your daily login. They're easy to get in the game. All right, next up is what boon do I run? I run the Acronaut, which increases your magicka recovery by 310. I believe this is the best boon that you can run for a tank. It doesn't matter what type of tank you want to run. This is probably the best boon that you could run. All right, next up, we're going to talk about the inventory. What weapons, armor, and jewelry that I run, and what type of monster helm. So first up, we're going to talk about the monster helm that I run in Elder Scrolls. So it is Incarnate's Behemoth. This item 1 adds 1096 maximum magicka. Item 2, dealing flame damage to an enemy, grants you Behemoth's aura for 12 seconds that reduces up to 12 meters. Or that reaches up to 12 meters, sorry. You and up to 11 group members in the aura reduce flame damage taken by 5%. Enemies in the aura increase their flame damage taken by 5%. This effect can occur every 15 seconds. This is probably one of the best ones that you can run. All you do is go ahead and put an enchantment, a flame enchantment, on your primary weapon. In my case, it is on my front bar. I run it with puncture and I use the infused, and boom, I can go ahead and chant or trigger my effect whenever I need to. All right, next up is another monster set that I do have in my backpack. That's Tremor Scale. Tremor Scale is one of those that I use whenever I need to run certain content. So one of item 1 adds 1096 maximum stamina. Number 2, when you activate a taunt ability on an enemy, you cause a Dune Ripper to burst from the ground beneath them. After 1 second, dealing 6000 physical damage to all enemies within 4 meters, reducing their physical resistance by 2395 for 8 seconds. This effect can occur once every 8 seconds. Again, this is a great monster set to run on certain content. This is just one of many that I keep. I typically use this when I'm running with groups that want to do more physical damage. All right, next up is my armor set. So I run Claw of Ylnakrian. This is my primarily body set. This is my chest, legs, and so on and so forth, right? So the Claw of Ylnakrian, number 2 adds 1206 maximum health. Number 3, gain minor Aegis at all times, reducing your damage taken from dungeon trials and arena monsters by 5%. Number 4 adds 1096 maximum stamina. Number 5, when you taunt an enemy, you give yourself and 11 group members minor courage for 15 seconds, increasing your weapon damage and spell damage by 215. This effect can occur once every 8 seconds. Again, this is my primary body set that I run. It is a heavy set. This is, you could get it from Sunspire. If you can get the perfected, get the perfected. I am currently working on getting perfected for myself. This is definitely something that you want to get. All right, next up is what I run for my weapons and jewelry. This is Aegis of Galenwyn. 2 items adds 1206 maximum health. 3 items, you gain minor Aegis at all times, reducing the damage taken from dungeon trials arena monsters by 5%. 4 items adds 4% healing taken, which is great. 5 items after successfully blocking. You grant empower to 11 allies within 15 meters for 3 seconds, increasing the damage of their light and heavy attacks by 40%. This effect can occur once every 2 seconds. This is a great set that you can get from Cloud Rest. All right, next up is Puncturing Remedy. This is a set that I just picked up from Dragonstar Arena. Puncturing Remedy, 2 items. You get the sword and the shield on your 1 drop. So when you get both of them, when you deal damage with a puncture, you heal for 6,130 health and gain physical resistance and spell resistance equal to the amount of healing or over healing done for 5 seconds. This is a great set that you can run with just about every type of content. But typically I stick to my 5 sets, 5 piece, and 2 monster sets. This is going to go into a good my rotation, but I'm just trying to figure out where it's going to be most beneficial. All right, next up, let's go ahead and talk about skills. So on my primary bar, the first thing I run is my Radiant Ward shield. This is probably the best shield in the game. It surrounds yourself with a solar rays, granting a damage shield that absorbs up to 14,275 damage for 6 seconds. This portion of the ability scales off your max health. Nearby enemies take 3,525 magicka damage when the shield is activated, and each hit increases the shield strength by 9%. Again, this is my primary shield mitigation. This is how I absorb as much damage as I can. All right, so next up is something that definitely costs a lot, but I definitely recommend that you go ahead and run it. It comes out of the Fighters Guild, and that is Turn Evil. So brand the earth at your location with a rune of protection for 20 seconds. You and your allies in the area gain minor protection and minor endurance, reducing your damage taken by 5%, increasing your stamina recovery by 15%. Upon activation, enemies in the area are feared for 5 seconds. This is a great ability to use. I would cast it whenever I'm doing huge pulls, and my DPS I know is going to burn down those mobs as fast as possible. So definitely a skill to go ahead and pick up. It does cost a lot, like I said. Next up is Extended Ritual. This is one of the flex spots. This is definitely one of those that you want to get. All right, so with this ability, you're cleansing up to 5 harmful effects from yourself immediately and healing you and nearby allies for 1,667 health every 2 seconds for 24 seconds. Allies in the area can activate the Purify Synergy, cleansing all harmful effects from themselves and healing for 4,213 health. This ability scales with your highest offensive stats. So again, great ability. All right, so next up is our Heroic Slash. Surprise an enemy with a deep lunge, dealing 3,215 physical damage and afflicting them with minor maim, reducing their damage done by 5% for 12 seconds. You gain minor heroism, granting you 1 ultimate every 1.5 seconds for 12 seconds. This is a great way to build up your ulti and to hopefully go ahead and cast your abilities a little more often. All right, next up is our main taunt. This is Pierce Armor. Thrust your weapon with disciplined precision at an enemy, dealing 2,679 physical damage and taunting them to attack you for 15 seconds. Remember, you want to apply that as often as you can, never exceeding that 15 seconds. Also inflicting minor breach and major breach on an enemy, reducing their physical resistance and spell resistance by 2,947. All right, so next up is going to be our ulti, and I'm using aggressive horn. So in this, we're going to sound a war horn to rally your forces, increase you and your group's max magicka and max stamina by 10% for 30 seconds. You and your allies gain a major force, increasing your critical damage by 20% for 10 seconds. This is huge for your group. This is something that you definitely want to run. This is probably one of the first ultis that you want to get as far as for your build. All right, so next up is from our destructive staff line is Elemental Blockade. So I typically run a Lightning Staff and Frost Staff. So with the Lightning Frost Staff, the Blockade of Frost deals less damage but grants a damage shield and immobilize shield enemies, and the Blockade of Storms sets concussed enemies off balance. So this is both great weapons. If you have a Frost Staff, definitely use it. Gives you a great damage shield, and lightning does cause off balance. All right, so next up is Restoring Focus. This changes in the new patch. So the big change is this ability and its morphs no longer grant you an additional 2974 armor when standing in them, but instead heals you for 4.5% of your max health every 1 second when inside. So you're going to go ahead and cast this and get a heal over time now. This is something that I could definitely see using going forward, because I typically use this to help mitigate, because it gives me that physical resistance and spell resistance, but it gave me the 2974 armor right when I stood in it. The Restoring Focus morphs now. This morph now increases the healing done by 25% and ranks up the healing done by 1.1 per rank. This again is a great change. I'm looking forward to it in the new update. All right, next up is Repentance. Consecrate the souls of the fallen, healing you and your allies for 3,000 health and restoring 3,000 stamina to you for each corpse nearby. While slotted, you also gain minor fortitude, minor endurance, and minor intellect, increasing your health, stamina, and magicka recovery by 15%. Great way to quickly get all your stamina and health back, and quickly, as long as there's mobs on the ground. All right, so next up, we're going to go ahead and get into one of the more expensive pulls, and this is Silver Leash. Fire a Dawn's Guard crossbow hook to pull an enemy to you, dealing 2,833 physical damage and reduce their movement speed by 30% for 4 seconds. This costs a lot. It costs 2,872 stamina. This is something that Templar tanks struggle with. Just like I mentioned earlier, we don't have a great crowd control, so we use Turn Evil. It is expensive. It is expensive for our stamina build. This one is very expensive. It costs a lot to cast, so I don't use it very often. I am very sparse when I need to use it. All right, so on our last ulti, or actually last skill, sorry, I use Inner Rage for range taunt. So you ignite the fires of hate in an enemy's heart, dealing 2,174 magicka damage and taunting them to attack you for 15 seconds. Again, like I stated earlier, make sure you taunt within that 15 seconds or that mob's going to run off and hit somebody else. A ranged ally targeted the taunt enemy can activate a Radiant Synergy, dealing 4,425 damage. This is a great range taunt that we definitely need. All right, so on your last ulti, this is my barrier, Reviving Barrier. Invoke the defensive tactics to protect yourself and nearby group members with wards that each absorb up to 22,870 damage for 30 seconds. The ward also heals you and your group members for 10,605 health over 15 seconds. This is a clutch. Definitely use this. It definitely helps out, and on a side note, it does a great job in protecting your comrades when you're going into dungeons. All right, so next up, we're going to go ahead and talk about some of the passives that I run. I max out all my passives as far as from my skill lines. So again, Piercing Spear, even though I don't use it, I definitely max it out. Spear Wall, this is something that I definitely do gain from. So you gain minor protection for 6 seconds. Burning Light is another one. This is something that definitely helps out with all the builds. And it does a great job of physical damage and magical damage to your target, whichever is higher, right? Balanced Warrior increases your weapon damage by 6% and spell resistance. That's the key right there, right? Spell resistance. All right, Enduring Rays increase the duration of your Sun, Fire, Eclipse, Prism, casting a Dawn's Ward ability. This is going to be these are going to be passives that I'm definitely going to use in the next patch, especially with one of the new abilities. All right, so those abilities, right? Dawn's Wrath, Eclipse, the Living Dark Morph. This Templars are currently have very few tools that can use as a tank, so we've opted to utilize a unique scaling method to ensure the ability can be utilized by both defensive and offense. What it's going to do is provide you a great way to heal yourself. I've seen some videos on this, and this actually looks tasty. This is definitely going to be something that's going to go in my flex spot, and definitely going to go ahead and run. All right, next up is Repentance. This is something that you definitely want to get. If you can't get all your ultis, this is something that you definitely want to try to run. So you're going to channel the graces of the gods, healing you and your nearby allies for 5,488 health every 1 second for 4 seconds. It also gain major protection, reducing damage you take by 10% for 10 seconds. But here's the kicker. While you're using it, you can't move. So it kind of sucks on that. This is a great flex. So if you're not going to use the cleanse, definitely look at Ritual of Rebirth. Focus your spiritual devotion, healing you and your nearby allies for 4,737 health. You heal a single ally outside this ability's radius for an additional 4,893 health. All right, so these are some of the passives that I use. Mending, this definitely helps. Increases the healing effects from your Restoring Light abilities. Sacred Ground, while standing in your cleansing ritual ruin, you get 4 seconds after leaving them, you gain minor mending, increasing your healing done by 8%. Light Warrior, when you heal an ally under 50% health with the Restoring Light ability, you grant them to ultimate, which is really, really cool. When you're channeling the right passage, you also get that. Master Ritual, increase the resurrection speed by 20%. Resurrected allies also will res with 100% more health. This is great when a fallen comrade that as a tank that I need to go pick up if I need to, right? All right, so passives that I definitely need, you definitely want to run. So max these all out. So Fortress, you definitely want to max out. Sword and Board, these are definitely things that you want to max out, right? So you also want to get Deadly Bash, which improves your standard bash attacks, causing them to deal more damage. Deflect Bolts. As you noticed in ESO, you're going to get shot with arrows a lot, so definitely use those. Battlefield Mobility reduces the movement speed penalty of bracing. Bracing is when you're actively blocking. All right, so again, looking at under Destructive Staff, Trifocus, fully charged Ice Staff heavy attacks grant you damage shield that absorbs up to 10,428 damage. While an Ice Staff is equipped, blocking costs Magicka instead of stamina. This is huge. Definitely look at that. Penetrating Magic, your destructive elemental forces increases your chance to apply elemental status effects by 100%. Ancient Knowledge, this is a huge one. Equipping a Lightning Staff increases the damage done with the area effect abilities by 8%, and equipping a Ice Staff reduces the cost of blocking by 36%, and increases the amount of damage you can block by 20%. So this is one of the reasons why I'm transitioning over to the Ice Staffs away from Lightning Staffs. And the last one is Destruction Expert. When you absorb damage using a destructive damage shield, you restore 1080 magicka. Great way of damaging and mitigating damage. Again, looking at the heavy armor, definitely max these out. Also go down and look at your racial skills. Like I said, I am running imp and I definitely want to max those out. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into the CPs now. All right, so champion points. First one up that we're going to look at is the blue one. So first thing is quick recovery. Toss 10 in there just to open it up. Next one is preparation. Reduce the damage taken from non-player attacks by 2% per stage. Right now I'm at 8% damage reduction. Elemental Aegis. Reduce the damage you take from magical attacks by 1% per stage. Effects Magic Flame, Frost, and Shock. Currently right now I'm at 3% and I just need to use a couple more points and get that maxed out. Definitely need to work on that one. I can't believe I forgot it. All right, so next one is Hardy. Reduce the damage you take from martial attacks by 1% per stage. This is the physical, poison, disease, and bleed. Right now, I'm at 4% damage reduction. Again, this is something that you definitely want to take a look at. All right, so jumping out, we're going to go ahead and take a look at Tireless Discipline. Grants 260 max stamina per stage. Currently, I'm at 1040, which is maxed out for max stamina. All right, so next up, we're going to go down and look at Unsellable. Reduce your damage taken by area of effect attacks by 2%. I'm currently at 10% damage reduction, which is currently maxed out. And don't forget, these you want to put into your champion bar. All right, next is Duelist Rebuff. Reduce your damage taken by single target attacks by 2% per stage. Right now, I'm at 10%. Eldritch Insight grants 260 max magicka per stage, and I am maxed out at 1040. Next up is Enduring Resolve. Reduces your damage taken by damage over time attacks by 2%, and I max this out at 10% damage reduction. This is I just maxed out. While you have a shield or frost staff equipped, your spell and physical resistance is increased by 1,900. Reinforced is something I'm working on right now. When you begin bracing, you gain a damage shield and absorb 5,140 damage for 3 seconds. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. This is definitely something that you want to start working towards. Currently, right now, I need to spend quite a bit. I need to get 44 more put in. Next one I'm probably going to look at is this one. When you block an attack from an enemy within 7 meters, you deal for 40% damage. When you take damage, Last Stand, when you take damage below 20% health, you gain Major Heroism, granting 3 ultimate every 1.5 seconds for 9 seconds. That's actually pretty good. This is probably going to be the last one I work on, which is Cutting Defense. You deal 200 magicka damage to attackers whenever they deal with you a direct damage attack within 7 meters. All right, so going to jump out and look at fitness. So the first things that we're going to take a look up is in the top left-hand corner, and don't forget to slot these. Boundless Vitality grants 28 max health per stage. Currently, right now, I'm at 400. Sorry. Next one is Ironclad, grant 34.6 armor per stage, which is 1731 maxed out. And Rejuvenation, grant 3 health, magicka, and stamina recovery per stage, which is 150 health, magicka, and stamina recovery. All right, next up is Hero's Vigor. Grants 280 max health per stage. Right now I'm maxed it out, 1120 max health. All right, so we're going to come over to Hasty. We're going to only put 8 in here. Increase your movement speed when sprinting by 2%. So I get a 2% movement speed. Don't go any higher. You don't need to as a tank. Just keep it at the 2%. It's not needed to push this any higher. Next up is Tireless Guardian. Max this out. Reduce the cost of blocking by 20% or by 20 stamina per stage. Right now it's at 80. Increase your movement speed when bracing by 3%. This is the Nimble Protector. Right now I'm at 15% movement speed. Fortification increases the amount of damage you can block by 2% per stage. I'm at 6% block mitigation and trying to max out as much as I can. Don't forget, we're going to do Mystic Tendency, reduce the duration of elemental status effects applied to you by 5%. Right now I'm at 5% reduction duration. All right, so Tumbling, reduce the cost of roll dodge by 120 stamina per stage. I'm trying to work on this, get this maxed out. Right now it's at 120 cost reduction. Expert Evasion, your next roll dodge is free cost. After consuming this effect, you cannot gain it again for 30 seconds. So again, once you get all these maxed out, you definitely want to try to work on others. All right, so crafting. This is probably an easy setup. So Wander, reduce the cost of Way Shrine usage by 10%. Right now it's a 40% cost reduction. It's cheaper for me to use a Way Shrine and travel around Tamriel. All right, Steadfast Enchantment, your weapon enchantments decay 20% slower. This is going to change in the next update, so look for it. And fortunately, they needed to fix this because currently it's broken. Breakfall, reduce the fall damage taken by 7% per stage. Right now I'm maxed out at 35% rather. Rationeer, add 10 minutes to the duration of any food eaten or drink per stage, and right now it's 30 minutes maxed. Liquid Efficiency, when you use a potion or a poison, you have a 10% chance to not consume it. I believe that is how they're going to use the soul gems in the next one. Steed's Blessing, increase your out of combat movement speed by 0.4%, and I have this maxed out 20%. All right, so Treasure Hunter is my next one. Increase the quality of your items you find in the treasure chest. Just max it out as best you can. Fortune's Favor, increase the amount of gold you can find in a treasure chest, safe boxes by 10%, and I'm almost completely maxed out on this. And like I mentioned earlier, they are changing the way that the enchantments work, so definitely take a look at that. It's probably going to go to the same way that the liquid efficiency is, and as you use it, you have a chance to make sure that it either consumes a soul gem or doesn't. So those are my champion points. I'm currently trying to max out as much as I can. If you guys have any questions, definitely hit me up in the down below. And we're gonna go into, actually, we're gonna jump in and take a look at this character and how well it performs in Hell Raw. Let's go ahead and jump there next. All right, so I am currently at the first pull spot, which is the stump. What I did was just run up the stairs as fast as possible and grabbed a huge pull. This is very typical for vet. This is on vet. This is just showing you the sustain ability of the Templar Tank running the equipment that I showed you earlier. And I'm using Puncturing Remedy and not the Gallon Winds for Sword and Shield. So I am running Puncturing Remedy on my front bar, and on the back bar I am running a Lightning Staff, not a Frost Staff. Even though I know the Frost Staff, and I'm probably going to go ahead and create one, is the best option, especially for shield buff. The Lightning Staff is just something I've always run. But as you can see, this build does do a great job of self-sustain, especially with massive amounts of vet level damage that you're taking. This is where I am barely blocking, just taking damage, kind of going through a rotation to make sure that my synergies and my shields are on the ground, and my shield is being applied as close to as 6 seconds as possible to maximize that ability and mitigate as much damage as possible. So again, I sustained this for at least a good 15 minutes and end up wiping all of these mobs out because again, applying the sun shield just damages them as I apply it, and eventually they just start taking damage from it, and slowly go down. But yeah, this is something that if you're looking to run a Templar tank, this is probably, in my opinion, the best way of running it. With these type of skill setups, this is not to say this is the best tanking in the game in Elder Scrolls Online. DKs do a better job of tanking, but I have loved my Templar tank. I've gotten almost every achievement in the game using it. I'm currently working on getting that the veteran trials on hard mode done, and in a lot of cases some of those vet trials done with this tank build, and going forward and trying to get as much done as far as clearing like hard mode speed runs, no deaths with this type of tank. If you have any questions, definitely hit me up. I again run on Twitch Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturday, and Sundays. You could catch me on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I start the stream right around 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And Saturdays and Sundays, I start the stream right at 11 a.m. and run till about 3 o'clock. And this is all Eastern Standard Time. I typically run as much content as possible. If you have any questions, definitely jump in and say hey. If you have any questions on different builds, which I'm going to go ahead and put different videos together in the future, definitely hit me up. I appreciate this. If you can, definitely hit that subscribe button. It helps out my channel and helps with the YouTube algorithm. So that way my videos get seen by more and more people out there. Again, I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you have any questions, like I've stated already, go ahead and toss them down in the comment section and I will reply back as fast as possible. You guys have a great time. And again, as always, happy adventuring in Elder Scrolls Online.